With the delays that we have been seeing with the Marvels being delayed up to 5 times already and pushing the film's release date back a full year, even with all the development hell that we've been seeing with reports of Brie Larson being hard to work with the film also needing reshoots and touch-ups in its CGI, we are now having articles trying to defend the film saying this: Captain Marvel 2 gets exciting news from test screenings. Ah yes, everything is fine and dandy. Do you all really truly believe that? After all the reports and delays for the film, do you really think that this film is getting positive news from test screenings? Because I don't think so, and I see this all being a stunt. Especially with Brie Larson's career being on the line, as there have been plenty of articles published that test screenings for the Marvels have been quite not so well received. And when you have Brie Larson being reported to be hard to work with on the film, it certainly doesn't help. Especially when Brie Larson is not happy about the film's title, as she was supposed to have her own standalone movies, just as Iron Man and Captain America did. And this makes her look terrible, which she doesn't want, because that would lead to her character and career as a whole to not look good. Especially when she's saying that other reports saying that she's the new face of Marvel, to which we shortly found out that no one likes her character when it came to the first Captain Marvel. And it certainly didn't help that she was also granted powers that she didn't earn, and being the most powerful hero in all of the MCU. And of course, you're going to have these stands defend Brie Larson's character as well this movie, and to each their own. If you like it, then good for you, but for many, it's quite the opposite. And before we get into the article, if you can subscribe and like this video, it helps a lot with the algorithm, and I much appreciate it. As we get into the article, Marvel Studios reportedly conducted screenings for test audiences of November's The Marvels, and the resulting feedback turned out to be quite interesting from MCU fans. Even though Captain Marvel 2 was delayed to November of this year, not getting it from its July release date, fans are still very excited for the Captain Marvel team-up film. Someone wasn't being consistent with labeling the film's title correctly. It's not Captain Marvel 2, it's The Marvels. And if this film somehow manages to make money, I would be astonished. Yes, you had the first Captain Marvel movie make boatloads of money, but you also can't forget that the film was tied to Endgame, supposedly, and that people needed to see it for the upcoming movie, which was all nonsense as Captain Marvel was hardly even in Endgame. Still, a fair amount has been said about the film recently. Hollywood insider Jeff Snyder recently claimed that the movie was something of a mess, both in content and behind the scenes. Others who are in the know have refuted those accusations, and now word from some test screenings of the film still have surfaced. Of course, you're going to have sources refute these claims in order to lessen the tension of the disaster that is in the making here. So you're telling me that everything behind the scenes is going smoothly and dandy, because if that were the case, you wouldn't have had this film be delayed for an entire year. Especially with the quality that we've been seeing from Marvel and Disney recently when it comes to visual effects being absolutely terrible, with Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania continuing that trend. And this is where things start to get juicy. Scuba Casey Walsh has gone under the defense for the Marvels after Jeff Snyder made claims that the movie was chaos and a Shiza show earlier in the week. Casey Walsh tweeted a response claiming he hadn't heard anything negative about production for the MCU's last movie of 2023. In quotes, "Again, I've heard nothing negative around the production. The movie has gotten more positive praise from tests than other MCU films this year. Sexist YouTubers use Larson as a way to garner favor with sexist and racist." It's always the racist and sexist cards that people pull out. Time and time again, when people don't like something or someone, that's where people's minds go to. They're all racist and sexist because they don't like this character or actor. How pathetic. When asked if that he meant he had heard the Captain Marvel sequel, "It's the Marvels," was better than the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Walsh simply replied, "No. I'm sorry, but the Marvels was never going to be as good as Guardians of the Galaxy 3. For sake, the film has heroes that people aren't interested in. Monica Rambeau, Miss Marvel, and Captain Marvel. Whereas Guardians of the Galaxy 3, you have Groot, Drax, Star-Lord, Gamora, Rocket Raccoon, all well-known and beloved characters." He also responded to a tweet about star Brie Larson's alleged behavior on set being less than ideal. In quotes, "Not even sure where that came from or why. Everything I've heard about the Marvels has been very positive and glowing, including producing." Yes, post-production is positive and glowing for the film. That's why it has taken the movie a full year just to do a few reshoots and touch-ups in the CGI, which shouldn't be taking that long in the first place. There there is something else going on behind the scenes that we just don't know. One of the tricky things about test screenings is that they are often done very early on, and as fans have seen in the past, the response to these screenings doesn't always align with how much audiences enjoy the finished film. Case in point, last year, information Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania's test screenings made the rounds, where it seemed that people in attendance responded quite positively. Contrast that with the film's dismal Rotten Tomatoes score, and a picture begins to form. And the thing is that Ant-Man is a character that people are much more interested in compared to Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel, for example. And yet, Ant-Man 3 is most likely going to be a box office loss for Marvel. That should just say a lot about this movie's future, as well as MCU in general as a whole. Still, movies can be anything. Perception of the Marvels could be terrific upon its release, or it could end up another Quantumania in terms of response. Moreover, different people have different opinions, and it's simply impossible to please everyone. Even though there was a large crowd who hated Ant-Man 3, there were many other filmgoers who thought it was a blast. It's quite simple. If the vast majority of the crowd doesn't like a movie, then that movie is not good. It doesn't take rocket science to figure that out. And everyone knows that this movie is going to be terrible. If Captain Marvel 1 had poor ratings, you can surely expect the Marvels to do the same. And yet, Kevin Feige continues to want to double down on these characters that the vast majority of the fan base aren't interested in. And when this film bombs, I wouldn't be surprised if we have articles being thrown out, as well as stands saying that people decided to not watch the Marvels because they are sexist. Because we have seen that time and time again with Hogwarts Legacy. Oh, you buy a game, you are a phobe. Oh, you don't like Forspoken, you are a racist. That's just the way people operate in today's day and age. And with all that, I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye.